Hello and welcome to today's video. Now today we'll be getting into a bit more of a story and a rant, if you will. Now, as you may be aware, social media platforms out there, whether it's Facebook, whether it's Twitter, many of these platforms, they do, have an issue with impersonation. Whether maybe you're impersonating Mr. Musk on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, if you're trying to impersonate Mark Zuckerberg, maybe Taylor Swift on Facebook, things like that. When it comes down to is you are not who you say you are. Now, in situations like this, I would honestly say it's medium to low priority. Yes, it is a problem, especially when they start trying to scam people or impersonate in such a bad way. Essentially, when the impersonation no longer becomes a joke and when it more becomes a problem to everyone around them, if you will, whether it's the followers or whoever. Now, in today's world, the actual security and the enforcement behind making sure you're not actually impersonating anyone can get very messy, where it no longer becomes, hey, can I see your ID, to, okay, let's make sure not only that this ID is legitimate, but that it is, not a fake ID. Can we verify it with an external database, an external service? Especially depending on the country, you get into so many territories in which it comes down to, is it worth it at the end of the day? And is it more headache or whatever it may be than it's actually worth? Now, in the case, for example, just really using Twitter as an example here, Twitter doesn't really do a whole lot of allowing you to impersonate. As you may be aware, their impersonation policy is actually relatively strict. You're required to, put in parody in parentheses. You're supposed to essentially let people know that, yes, this is a joke account, yada, yada, yada. And when they see that you're clearly trying to scam people or make people, have a different view on whoever you're impersonating, it essentially, they just remove your account outright. Now, when it becomes more into the professional sphere, let's put it, LinkedIn. Now, I personally do use LinkedIn. This is for my professional side of business and matters. I don't really care for the platform all that much. I don't interact, and honestly, I quite literally just used it to keep a repository of all my certificates for things I'm certified in. I have a couple MTAs, HubSpot certs, things like that. But really, that's all I used it for. Now, if I choose to use it, in later down the road, whether it's for a new job, whether I do need to post, maybe for a company I may be, essentially representing, that may come on down the road, down the line. And that's where I think LinkedIn, I wouldn't say is honestly even a social media anymore. It does behave, yes, in a social media sense, but it can become a problem whether it's your work, whether it's your livelihood, is on the line. It's a bit different, I'd say, compared to, being your typical Twitter creator, your Facebook creator, even TikTok. Whatever it comes down to, there is a bit of a difference when it comes to LinkedIn versus Twitter, or whatever else is out there. Now, the reason I'm actually talking about this today is because there seems to be some terrible, terrible representation and management of this security, of this impersonation, and all this other jazz. Essentially, we're tracking down the impersonators and we're attempting to adjust and correct the problem, which is excellent. I'm all for that. I don't think anyone should be impersonating who they say they aren't. And I think there is some verification to it. Now, I won't lie, the previous impersonation jokes, if you will, on Twitter were definitely something to laugh at. And they just seemed relatively harmless, whether it was it like that Deer Park Rangers, whatever. They were saying, all sorts of funny stuff about there's a whole thing. I'll have to pull it up at some point. Maybe in post-edit or here. But basically, it was, at the end of the day, it was just a joke. But for my case here with LinkedIn, as well as Cash App, which I know isn't social media related, my point being that this needs to be corrected and it needs to stop. It's ridiculous. We need to go back to the drawing board, not with just 1-2 platforms, but we need to essentially correct this as a whole. And in no way do I advocate for you should, have a QR code on your wrist or something like that. We don't need anything that far. But yeah, I think it's just best if I dive right into the story here and tell you guys what I've actually had a recent problem with, and how I honestly think we should correct it. If I was put into some sort of leadership, whether it's for LinkedIn, whether it's for TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, whatever media platform out there, I believe these are the best methods we should be looking forward to, and we need to essentially correct this problem, both ensuring that we are taking down the impersonators that are attempting to scam people, but also that we're not trying to lock out people that are legitimate, people that may rely on the social media platform for whatever it may be. So, bear with me here and listen to my story. Let me know how you think, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I am wrong somewhere. But I want to put this out there because I am actually seeing quite a bit of social media posts on Reddit and such about LinkedIn specifically, but this whole verification process in general, from all platforms. It's just, as I've actually put my ticket here, abysmal dog shit. So yeah, hang tight with me. Go ahead, listen to my story, and let you know what you think. Am I in the wrong? Am I getting screwed over? Whatever may happen. So now, today's date is November 27th of 2024, and my ticket was created quite some time ago, actually, with LinkedIn specifically. This was before I realized I was banned off Cash App, and I'll get to that one in the next part here, but LinkedIn had actually restricted my account. I had signed in one day to take care of some professional activities, as well as I did receive a couple of emails on my notification email I had signed up with LinkedIn that I had a pending direct message to my profile. I figured it was spam. I decided probably best to take a look at it anyways and see what may be up. So I logged in just a bit before November 12th here, only to find that I was greeted with the page, "Your account has been restricted. And for verification purposes, you are required to send us your identification." Now, LinkedIn themselves did not actually handle the verification, but from what I can see, they had a few different third-party vendors that would do it for them. This, to my understanding, at least for the United States, I'm not sure if it behaves differently in other locations, but this is Clear, as well as, I think it's called Persona. And essentially what would happen is you would download an application, which I believe is just a LinkedIn app, to your device, iOS or Android, and then you would have to scan your identification, driver license, passport, whatever it may be, send it to LinkedIn. LinkedIn would send it off to these third-party vendors, whichever one they chose, and then from there you would be either approved or denied to access your account. Now, I have a very big problem with this. First off, I've had my LinkedIn account for a good amount of time here, and never before have they requested my identification. It was never requested when I signed up. It was never requested at any point in time while I was using the account, or even attaching it to any external company as some sort of representative. And I honestly think that's where it should be done, where when you, honestly, right now, to my understanding, there is nothing stopping me from creating a brand new LinkedIn account saying I am Bob Smith and that I am the CEO of Google. Now, granted, Google is a very high-profile company. I'm sure there's a few alarms specifically for them. But the point still stands is there's nothing to verify that I actually work there. Now, getting back to the point, I additionally, for a few days, kind of try to see if I could go around it, maybe thinking, okay, maybe I tried one too many times entering in my password. The password I had on hand was probably old, and I did eventually get in after trying a few times. So I was thinking, okay, They probably just have my IP address suspended of sorts. I'll just come back to this here at a later time. I did try and log in on my phone through mobile data. That didn't work. There's all sorts of little tidbits that I honestly thought it was just a standard network issue. I know if you sign on a few different other websites, you may get restricted on your IP address and maybe like a 24-hour ban, things like that. Just more as a security tool to make sure that you're not trying to brute force passwords, obviously. Which I understand. That's fine. But later on, I kept getting issues. It would still block me. I would log in correctly. And I could verify this because it was still sending me the access here has been restricted. But at the same time, if I entered in the wrong password, it was still saying, hey, this is incorrect, yada, yada. So there it was. I was stuck. My account was unable to be accessed. I didn't have any other devices at the time that I actually had LinkedIn accessed on because I don't use LinkedIn a whole lot. Like I said, I just use it as a certificate repository for what I'm certified in. So as it stood at that time, I had really no access to get back into it. And even before then, before my account was restricted, in order for me to even look at my account, LinkedIn was making me try and sign in and yada yada. Similar to how honestly Facebook does it, and it pisses me off. But regardless, I gave up in a way. I was like, okay, there's clearly a problem here I can't solve on my own. I think it's time that I reach out to support. So I was a little pissed off. I was not going to send in my identification, and this wasn't because I wasn't who I say I was. I mean, all my information was correct on my profile, right? This was more because at no point did LinkedIn ask for it before. So realistically, what does me sending in my identification now do for them other than the data collection process? Now, whether it's the vendors or LinkedIn themselves collecting this data, I wasn't too sure. And honestly, how can I trust what happens after I send that information out? And this argument has been brought up similarly with the current Pornhub ban. The NSFW sites that operate in the United States currently, they're actually required, if you're not aware, to verify your identification. And as a right of privacy, they wish to fight back by just outright banning the addresses out of those states. Now, whatever review may be on that, that's up to you as an American or outside, a human right essentially. But when you send in something as potentially sensitive as your identification, when it's in person, okay, the person looks at it, maybe they flex it, they take a look at the back, they can basically see, okay, this is a legitimate ID. We can see this based off of whether it's a seal or maybe it's a little, I think it's like a rainbow thing you can like shine in the light, things like that. Excuse me. Now, that's a lot different compared to when I send my identification to someone, whether it's a person or whether it's a company. There's realistically nothing stopping them in terms of once I send them my identification, they could store it in an S3 bucket, whether it's an Azure, Amazon S3 bucket, whatever. Maybe how do I know the employees aren't taking photos? I mean, there's been cases in the past too of even fast food workers is I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but as low on the pedestal compared to your typical office jobs. There's been reports of people taking photos of the credit cards that come in, and you don't suspect a thing. So what's stopping this LinkedIn support agent from doing the same thing when I send it in? Now, they say they're not able to see it. Okay, whatever. Other people have to at some point. That's how they verify the identity, right? Or at least I think so. Maybe it's AI powered, I'm not sure. But the point being is this data can be held on to for an indefinite amount of time, and you cannot see that. When you hand your identification to someone, they look at it, and they hand you identification right back. They're not taking photos. They're not taking notes. They basically just say, okay, here's your date of birth, here's your first, last name, this address seem right, things like that. It's very basic. They don't have to store it. There's no need to store it, things like that. So after looking around, submitting a ticket, going through a few things, I informed the support agent when I made the ticket, I am not going to send in my identification. I don't see that as a need. You guys can do so through other means. And in the reply to this ticket, they did say that either A, I can go through with the identification as before, the driver's license. B, I can go through with the affidavit. The affidavit of identification, I think is what they called it, something like that. And C, I can reply to the ticket with the original email that was created or was used for my LinkedIn account. And C, well, I mean, I do understand that would have been excellent to use, was a problem. That was actually my first means of how I would have gotten back into it. I had to actually make a new LinkedIn account just to make the ticket, which was the ridiculous part. To make the ticket, you had to sign in to LinkedIn. This was a problem because when I would sign into LinkedIn, they would tell me, hey, you need to verify your identity. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, we're going to log you out. Bye. So I made a new account and I sent in the ticket, and in the alternative email, I designated my original email and I said, hey, I need access. They said, okay, here's your options. I took option C, like I said before, and I attempted to reply to the ticket since my alternative email was CC'd on it. I got a response back from their mail server, or I think it was their support system at the mail server, that stated, you are not allowed to reply to the ticket as you are not the original ticket creator. Okay, what the hell was the point then? I let them know, hey, I'm not able to create, or I'm not able to reply to the ticket with my original email. What do you guys expect me to do here? Okay, well, you can do the affidavit identity. Okay, fine. I went forward with that. I printed out the affidavit identity onto a physical medium, a paper format. I took it to the notary after filling out most of the boxes, just making sure it was as legible as possible. I essentially filled out all of the stuff that needed to be filled out, the ticket ID, the email, all that, on my computer through the PDF editor, and then the rest of it, like the date, the signature, things like that, I either left blank for me to sign later and take care of, or the notary needed to do it. But essentially, the notarization was complete. The file was good to go. And I had them send it back to me over email, so I had it in PDF format so I could send it to LinkedIn. Now, here's where the real problem actually became. Because this affidavit of identity is supposed to be your alternative to sending in the identification if you don't want to. And I honestly see this as fit because the notarization is perfect. When I took it to the notary, they looked at it, they verified who I was, it checked out with the file. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Let's get you signed up. They didn't collect my ID. They didn't take a photo of it. They didn't write down any details of it. They simply just took a look at it, verified it, and called it good. So I sent in the PDF that they sent me back to LinkedIn. And there was the first problem. Hey, we can't open this file. Okay. Is there a file format I can send it to you guys? No, we just can't open the file. Okay. There's the other problem. That could mean a million different things. Keep in mind, I sent this to them just like how I was originally sent it from the notary. It's a PDF format. It's the 2 pages of LinkedIn's affidavit of identity, signed, ready to go. And they're telling me they can't open the file. Okay, whatever. I took a look at the file, looked legible, looked readable, didn't see anything with it, and I asked them, okay, what file formats can you accept? They gave me the same generic answer, we can't open the file. Okay, I sent it to them in a JPG, JPEG format. Didn't work. I can see it on my computer, They can't open the file. Okay, I sent it again in PNG format. Hey, we can't open the file. Okay. Instead of adding it as an attachment, I was like, okay, screw it. Let's add it as inline, directly in the message body. Finally, they got back to me. They told me, actually, let me quote this here before I say anything, because this is ridiculous. Okay. Hi, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but it seems we have not successfully received your ID verification. If signing the updated, oh wait, no. They have a really weird, like very wide email for some reason. If you're having problems submitting your ID via the link, please consider signing the affidavit of identity form before Notary Public. Wow, I was doing that. Once notarized, you can scan and attach the form in response to this message. Wow. Yeah, okay, so this is before I did the inline attachment. Let me check here. Scroll up, click, and click. Okay. Here is the final response in regards to the ticket. And keep in mind, I was very pissed at this point because the fact that they couldn't even open the file. Okay, fine, whatever. I understand maybe it's restricted on a very, restricted network, essentially. And this is LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft, so I'm sure they have all sorts of Active Directory policies and app locker and whatever. Finally, though, the response to them, what I assume is them opening the file finally. Hi, we determined that the activity on your account is in violation of LinkedIn's user agreement and professional community policies. They gave me the 2 links for it. Okay. Per our terms, you agree that you won't misrepresent your identity or post inaccurate profile information. Your appeal has been denied and your account will remain restricted. Okay, first off, there is no misrepresentation of my identity and there is no inaccurate profile information. They don't let me know what was incorrect. The only thing that I can remotely come to a conclusion on is my affidavit first name is different than my LinkedIn first name, which it's common. I get called Jake when that's actually not Jacob. Or yeah. Okay. If that's really the big deal here, why not just say that? It's close enough. Everything else matches up. I am sending you guys an email from the same domain because I'm using a custom domain, the domain I own, and you guys are still having a motherfucking problem with it. So, there it was. My account has been restricted, and it is not going to live to see the day of me using it again. Now, at this point, as you're aware, I can't get into the profile, so I can't go export my information. I can't go delete my information. It is fully locked out and suspended. I had a friend of mine go look up my profile to go see if he could collect some of the information off it real quick, just in case. And when I sent him my old link to my LinkedIn, it was nowhere to be found. So not only did they actually remove the ability for me to log into my account, they have essentially shadow banned my account in such a way where really only they can access it, at least to my knowledge. Maybe it's hidden, maybe you need to be a close friend of mine on there, or whatever, however that works. But essentially, it's no longer viewable to the general public. And now this is where the question comes into play. Is this right to do so? This is a bit different from when you're suspended on Twitter. Twitter, okay, you impersonate someone, you can make changes to your profile, it's probably shadow banned until then, yada yada. Facebook, I believe it's similar. I think they're a little more restrictive on it. But if you're outright just scamming people and impersonating, yes, they are just going to suspend the account outright. But the account information that was previously listed on my LinkedIn is 95 to 100% correct. I mean, literally the first name is got to be the only problem. It's not like I'm sitting here saying I'm Bill Gates from Microsoft and I need access to my account and I lost the email and I lost the phone number and all of a sudden I've changed and yada yada. It's a lot different than that. And the even bigger issue I have with it is, like with a Twitter account, you can move on. You can create a new one. That's not a problem. With a LinkedIn account, this is almost your professional history, your professional timeline. If you were using this LinkedIn account for new jobs, or if you're trying to use it to communicate with your current work, use it for marketing purposes, essentially, with your current job, which is common. It happens all the time on LinkedIn. It's how people make an outreach on the professional side of things a lot of times. You've just erased that information because you think I'm impersonating someone, or I'm misrepresenting someone. That's fucking bullshit. And that's where I become heated in a situation like this. It's not fun. And to tell me that I'm misrepresenting myself because I don't want to send in my driver's license because I don't trust you is a huge fucking jump. It's a huge problem. And that's where I really think when it comes to security, we'll just call it human security, verifying who someone is on their identity and that they are not impersonating someone. I think what it really comes down to is, this notary thing, how they originally had it, yes, that would have been perfect. Like I said before, you go in, you give them your ID, notary verifies your ID, physical, in hand, everything. You can't really Photoshop it, and there you go. You're off to the races. Hell, you could probably even call in the DMV or something, I'm sure, or have the state essentially put in like your driver's license code and then verify it that way, something like that, right? If that does work, I'm not sure. I'm sure that data is very restricted. But my point being, in order to verify identity, this should be something that's done in person. There is no need for me to send my data out there, and there is no need, realistically, for you to have this on hand in the first place. There's just so much shit here that doesn't add up. And that's why I honestly suspect this to be more of a data collection attempt by LinkedIn. It doesn't add up, essentially, is what I'm saying here. And as if I could make these changes myself to LinkedIn, it would honestly just be some sort of notary method. There's plenty of services, plenty of companies out there that do this notarization. They have people on hand who do it. Each state has, this little thing, whatever, however it works. And it would be probably better tenfold, not only to verify people, but it would be a tremendous bonus to the privacy of users. And I know what you're thinking. It's just a social media, account. It's a social media platform. They have no right to respect your privacy whatsoever. And sure, that's fine. But what are you going to do when many, many people, especially depending on your industry and your field, rely on a LinkedIn account? I know there's a few other data mining sources too that also use this information. Who's to say, I think, was it Maltego? Basically, there's a few other data sources. What are they going to do when they find out, okay, you don't have a LinkedIn, or even worse, LinkedIn reports you've been suspended and they don't tell you why? They're probably going to assume the worst if this is true. Keep in mind, this is all theoretical. If they see your LinkedIn account has been suspended, okay, that can be anything ranging from like this. They just can't verify your identity for whatever damn reason, all the way up to you are posting, hate, terrorism photos, things like that. Things that are like way over the line. And obviously, yes, that should be taken care of, dealt with, removed from the platform, obviously. But my point being, you are not providing the right amount of information here. If this actually is someone impersonating, okay, we cannot verify your identity due to it doesn't represent the right person at this time. That's probably sufficient. In this case, at least in my case, I'm sure it's a little different per person, but this we were not able to verify your identity as it looks like you may be using a nickname. Please use your full name. Okay, perfect. I mean, I'm sure there's some way to correct that, but even then, too, it comes down to if you're going to collect the driver's license as well, why was this not done on account creation? You guys have no reference point either. So, that's my main gripe with a lot of this verification bullshit. It's not only the disrespect to privacy, to be honest, but it is that you're going to run circles for us, and then we're going to point and laugh at you because we have full control over, all this. It's such bullshit. And it really does also come down to the customer support side of things. Reviewing, modifying, and making sure that protocol is not only efficient, working, and secure. In this case, it was not. I was literally given the same response 3 times over. I'm sorry for the inconvenience, but it seems we haven't successfully received your ID verification. Okay, great. Do you guys see the attachment? Are you guys just not able to open the file? Is the file corrupted? Things like that. Providing context, providing information as to why you can't do a certain thing would be an excellent jumping point. It would probably improve a lot of the satisfaction of your customers through customer service. Not only that, but to have this copy-paste thing, I mean, yes, I do understand it. You want to ensure efficiency. But at the same time, it's robotic. And at this point, the person who... I'm not going to expose anything. That's not my right to do so. But the person I'm interacting with in this ticket, I would not be surprised if it is some sort of AI. I don't know what they have going on in the background, but so much of this is copy-paste, cut and dry, just robotic stuff. It doesn't sound right. And that's where I also, too, my other gripe, this one isn't as big, and honestly, I just laugh at it, but it's a little ridiculous is why. Cash App. As you guys may have seen before, the long-time subscribers, I know I haven't been around for a while, but the previous subscribers may have seen my Cash App donation link. I've actually recently had to change to a Ko-Fi. Logged in recently only to find out that my Cash App was suspended. And my last transaction was in June of 2024, sending $25 to someone, hoping that, they feel better when I was currently in a group. To all of a sudden see my account banished to Brazil, for reasons that I cannot even see, that they won't even tell me, is hilarious. And once again, it comes back to providing context, providing information to the customer. Okay, we believe you are in violation of this. Can you show us otherwise? And I do understand where it comes from in such a way, where it sounds like essentially that it's guilty until proven innocent. In this case, I would say maybe provide information, contextual clues. Okay, from this information, we see that you conducted these transactions on this and this day. Can you inform us what this is about? And then go from there. But with Cash App here, it seems to be a little bit more of a laugh, as 2 or 3 times on the app itself, I spoke with a customer service agent over at Cash App. Jeez, excuse me. Okay, that was weird. Okay, we're good to go. Anyways, they informed me that, hey, you've been suspended. We can't tell you why, but you're allowed to make an appeal. I kind of pried a little bit just to see maybe if they could provide any information at all, even if it's just a general notice of, hey, Rule 34 was violated. Don't look that up. They couldn't tell me a reason why. And I was a little surprised by it. And I finally got an email after they reached out to me This is X with Cash App Support. Thank you for reaching out, and I hope you're doing well during this time. Thank you. Thanks for your patience during our delay. I understand you're inquiring about your account. I know how important it is for you, and I'll be glad to provide more details about it. We conducted a review of your account. Based on that review, we have found activity that violates our terms of service. As a result, your Cash App account has been deactivated, and you will no longer be able to use your account or its features. I wish there was another option to provide an outcome that better aligns with the expectations, but I really appreciate your understanding on this matter. This one seems a little bit more human, and I do appreciate that. But once again, it just a generic, you violated our terms of service. Okay, does that mean my account was inactive? Does that mean that at one point you guys found activity that I was sending $30 billion to, the cartel of Mexico? Like, this could mean a variety of things, and especially if I haven't had activity during that account or in that time frame, especially if you're a support agent, you should be able to see, hey, the last login was 3 months ago, and we issued a ban 1 month ago because of the activity we saw on that day. There's a problem here. I think it would be a fair assumption to say that, okay, the account was probably hacked. Yes, it should be frozen, suspended, but only until we can essentially provide access back to the original person. So, yeah, it's Cash App. I've cut my losses on. I can deal with that. As I just said, I just changed it to my Ko-Fi, which we'll see how well that goes. I don't see an issue with them in the future. They seem to be pretty straightforward, easy to use. But yeah, wrapping this up here. My points being, for these platforms, whether you're social media, whether you're an online entertainment service, casino, Netflix, any online platform where you don't have customer support on site physically, you should be providing information as to why. This won't hinder your security. If the person who may be impersonating Elon Musk on LinkedIn, for example, okay? If you tell them, hey, this identity or this ID that you've sent in does not match our records with your current account, okay, that's a fair assumption that they're probably a scammer trying to impersonate for illegitimate purposes, whatever it may be. And you can just send the generic, hey, doesn't add up, we can't continue at this time, please, try again later, something like that, really. When certain things add up, okay, we see the middle and the last name add up, the first name does not, but everything else seems to conclude our review. Okay, it looks like this information piece is not correct. Can you, add more clarification context to this and let us know? And you could just be like, oh yeah, my LinkedIn, I use my nickname. My physical card, obviously, I use my real name. Because LinkedIn isn't a legal entity. There is no expectation, essentially, to use your full legal name. And it would just be ridiculous to think so in the first place. So it is what it is, essentially, at the end of the day. And I really wish there was a push to make these changes. But additionally with it, there's multiple other context clues you could use. Whether it's, okay, your original email we see is associated with this company. Can you provide some information or have your company reach out to us and we can, go further? We can use public information to verify with the CEO that you are who you say you are and yada yada. Even at work, that's the even more ridiculous part. At work, well, I'm not going to give that away. We had an issue for some time of people impersonating their position. And it was a hilarious thing because we're software, and there were people saying that they were like furniture sellers on an online-only software company. First off, if as big as LinkedIn is, they should have some sort of AI at work for that. They should be able to see, okay, this is a gas station. You say you work at this gas station. Last I checked, a gas station doesn't sell couches, right? same thing goes for any other industry, any other company, whatever it may be. Not only that, but why are you not doing verification on the company? Why are you not asking the company directly, hey, this new member is linked to your company? Is this true? Can you provide information to us? Do you want to approve or deny it? And it's just ridiculous in the first place. So coming to conclusions here, things need to change within this the online platform sphere. Whatever industry, whatever, social media, entertainment, whatever it may be, there needs to be better privacy verification. Privacy respecting verification. Let me reword that. And we need to have better customer support. And to provide additional context to that, no, that doesn't mean that you should always be a piece of shit to the customer support agent helping you. They most likely don't know better what they're doing, but to the customer support agents that are out there, you also need to work to provide better protocols, better security, because this is not security, period. I can tell you that right off the bat. You need to provide not only better security, but just better protocols and processes in the first place. Not only would that tone down a lot of the frustration that this comes with, and probably reduce a lot of the curse words, let's just say, that comes through your channels. But it's just a win-win for everyone. We don't need this cookie cutter bullshit of send us your ID. We promise to not do anything bad with it. And even if you do, okay, God forbid, LinkedIn gets hacked in a year. Okay, my ID is out there for everyone to see now. And now, that same photo can be used to go verify me on another platform. So, at the end of the day, none of it adds up, and something needs to be done. So, I hope you like this little story. And like I said, if there is something I did wrong, please do let me know. If there's something we can do, something we can make change, I would be more than happy to sign off on it, put my vote out there, whatever it may be, push to have a better workflow. It's just frustrating, and it's ridiculous to see this. Coming from the customer end of things, it's frustrating to have to do this in the first place. And coming from a associate side, an agent side from this, I can see how, you may be able to only do a certain amount of things, but you should still be able to be human. Provide some sort of contextual clues. Okay, do this, do that, try this, things like that. Work with the customer. It is not hard. So, I hope you guys like today's video. And, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think. And, to those who are currently in this whole identity verification process, whatever platform it may be, best of luck to you. Thoughts and prayers. And, hope you guys have a good one. Happy Gobble weekend. And, get fat. Enjoy that turkey. So, have a good one. And, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching today's video. Make sure to check out my socials, available in the description and in the title as you see, and our new website over at nerdherd.wtf.